Avatar.
We are gold. Brian, say things now.
Rah!
Hello, everybody,
Rah!
and welcome back
Hello.
to the further adventures of the intrepid crew of the Berezaya Argia.
It is going to be an interesting day today.
It's a
pointing
day!
out.
Yay!
It's like versus any other day that ends in Y.
It's a thing. It's a thing
Yes.
that'll happen. So, when last we left off, our intrepid crew was working to rescue Ember from the horrible clutches that is the Inspired.
Are you sure they were rescuing me?
Yes.
Yes, until
I'm pretty certain we were falling into a trap, is what we were doing.
We were
Little column A,
definitely
little column
falling
B.
into a trap.
Yes.
until
But
things
also-
went south for
I had everything
Literally-
under control, people.
literally and figuratively, as one of the Inspired had
Ugh, that bitch.
entrapped Zaya's essence, soul, for lack of a better term.
Oh my god, she's this
Was
game's
then-
equivalent of like that bitch in the Saul's Rest game whose name none of us ever remember. She was just that bitch. This is this game's that bitch.
Only that bitch got promptly beaten to death.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
true.
Been
Happily.
Well,
Murdered
yes
brutally.
and no, but I digress.
Yes
so,
and no us.
What do you mean, yes and no?
I mean, she's in with fucking Zaya. That's what he means.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
That bitch.
where things had ultimately left off, the crew was able to defeat and basically cause the surrender of the other airship crew, because admittedly their airship was pretty damaged in the battle.
You're
Of course,
welcome.
Zaya was also pretty damaged in the battle, especially with the fall at the end.
Well,
And were able to reconnect with Zaya, who basically, after the loss of her soul tether being entrapped, however you would like to refer it to, whatever terminology would you like that would apply, the husk that is the ship of Zaya crashed into the ocean and is now floating on the ocean surface. You managed to again get the rest of the other airship crew to surrender and came down to inquire as to aid. There were questions as to what to potentially do with the prisoners and all that other stuff. Ultimately, they were all imprisoned on the airship that is still technically flying. But ultimately, everybody being a bit weary and with everything else that went on, decided to, post watches, have guards, and all that kind of stuff, but ultimately to get some rest and sort of reassess in the morning. And as that morning, and some of you had elected to stay on Zaya, and some to stay on the airship. And Gavin and I believe Nikali were part of the group that was going to stay on Zaya, just because Nikali being an elf, only needed a few hours of meditation, then he was good to go. And I think you were deciding to stay up and still take a watch.
I was gonna stay up all night and just, once Nikali was up, do a short rest, since all of my stuff resets on a short rest.
Okay. So what I'm gonna say then is, and then keeping watch, noticed a fog start to sort of drift in around Zaya, and then a ship that seemed to appear out of the fog, an older style. I think it's kind of referred to as like a dromond, or kind of like the old school sort of Roman galleys to give it kind of a similar look. And there's a being on deck with could best be described as kind of
Pale gray purplish skin.
yeah, pale gray purplish skin, eyes, looks very similar to, I would say, like the what we stereotypically would think of as the gray alien, you know, like from X-Files or something like that, in terms of looks. But standing before you and on the deck of this other ship that, while a bit beaten and battered, looks fairly serviceable and admittedly kind of snuck up out of nowhere. Now, this person seems to be the only being on the deck. You do see that the oars in the sides of this thing do get kind of drawn in, almost as if like this style of ship we're going to get ready to sail, or in this case to dock or whatnot. And I believe we ended it with Gavin, you hearing in your mind permission to come aboard.
So here's a question. Can I make like a history or arcana or something to that effect to have heard like stories or legends about this individual?
Sure, I would say.
Or me?
I would say. I'd go history. Let's go history.
And, like for me, it's the same roll. So,
Fair.
19.
You have heard. I mean, you have heard rumors because you've done a fair bit of traveling prior to joining the crew of Zaya. I mean, your father definitely wanted you to learn. You know, knew that a well-traveled person helps. You know, I cannot speak. Does help make a well-rounded person in a lot of ways, and when it was safe to do so, so admittedly after the war and whatnot, probably took you to a couple of different places, you know, in like Aendair, Karnath, Thrain, probably mostly sticking to Corvair though, just because some things were maybe a little bit too dangerous or, for that matter, expensive. So you've maybe heard a rumor or two, you know, much like the boogeyman or, you know, the fairy godmother or whatever, you know, you've heard those kind of tales about a crimson ship that will appear out of the fog or whatever, crewed by seemingly a single strange being.
I think Gavin's hand kind of, without even really thinking about it too much, kind of strays to the Zaya necklace, with the intent of like, hey Zaya, can you wake up everybody else, and then remembers.
Sure.
Right. Kind of glances up
and speaking of that, for those of you who do try to use the Zaya necklace, or use the extended mind link feature, that feature is not currently available. Also, Amaya, your specific link with Zaya is also not available at this time.
Gotcha.
Because I would imagine at some point in the evening before trying to go to bed, you tried it. So I figured, as far as for a housekeeping thing, just to kind of expedite some stuff.
Yeah.
I'd let you all know that ability is currently unavailable.
Oh, Ember is sobbing in her pillow as she's clutching her shard.
In relation to where I'm at, to triangulate this for me. So in relation to where I am versus where Nikali is versus where the ship is, can I can I fly casual closer to the ship while moving past Nikali, or is it going to be like an extended?
Well, so I will say, if we were to give it a visual, we're going to say that the airship is floating like above and maybe a little bit to the port side of where Zaya is. We're gonna say, we'll say even is port, odd is even. Roll to 2, and then this ship actually appears underneath, kind of underneath it. I mean, the airship is up, like 80 feet or so, so it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
in
yeah,
any
yeah.
danger of burning anything, but with its elemental ring unless it drops. But the Drummond is kind of pulled up next to you on the port side. It is a smaller vessel compared to Zaya's overall length. Like, let's see. Did we do dimensions on Zaya? Yeah, we did at one point. Let me double check real quick here.
She's big. She's 150, I think.
Yeah, I think she's around 150-ish, counting just the. I think it was just the deck, not
Counting just the
necessarily
deck, that doesn't count like the tendrils and the
the
prow.
little. Yeah, and then yeah, 150 feet, no tendrils. So their ship is maybe like 100 feet, so it's about roughly about 2/3 of what Zaya is. Um, there may be slightly wider, but not. I mean, it's still a decent sized vessel, but it's not. It's not like dwarfing.
Yeah. I'm gonna kind of head over towards the port side, and I'm gonna say out loud, um, "If you are a friend, you have my leave to come aboard. If you are a foe, I strongly advise against it."
I seek you no harm. Last sun of morning.
Okay. Yeah, you might as well come aboard then.
Okay, and you see he kind of makes a gesture, and you see there's like a boarding plank that seems to kind of not necessarily animate, like grow arms or legs, but seems to kind of float of its own accord to sort of bridge the gap. And you do see the captain uh, has a trident that they're kind of using as sort of a walking staff, so to speak. Um, and as otherwise seems to be wearing some kind of robes and sort of uh, I'd say almost kind of a bronze age style kind of jewelry uh,
Interesting.
and whatnot. It has a cloak, um, but walks aboard. Nikali, hearing you kind of speak out, now Nikali's perception isn't horrible, but kind of hears what's going on and is alerted as well, so you know he is notified.
As he kind of moves, as Nikali like moves to get up, I'll just kind of give him a glance that, and basically just like "It's okay." Like I don't say anything, but just kind of a gesture, like "It's all right for now." Wait till the, wait till he's on board. They're on board.
Okay. So the being comes aboard and then basically gets on board deck, but then just kind of sort of sits down on the railing
Um,
and does set their trident to the side. So I mean, it's still within reach, but definitely in a non-threatening manner.
I would offer you what hospitality we have, but as you may have witnessed, or at least you can see with your own eyes, I don't have much to give.
I it definitely takes a look around at the all the damage, and it's like, and then kind of looks up at the other airship that is also
Wrecked.
heavily damaged. It's like, I'm guessing you're in a recent battle.
You guessed correctly. We've lost a lot today. Can I help you?
Well, and by the way, just to let you know, all of this is being kind of telepathically communicated.
For my part, unless I specify otherwise, I am speaking out loud.
That's totally fine. I'm just
Hey, what
taking
does it take to hear Gavin's voice with a 17 passive perception?
80 feet away, a lot.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Tell you what, I'm gonna leave it up to you on this, Rhiannon. Normally, you typically sleep next to Gavin
Mm-hmm.
the majority of the time. Would you say that you are a deeper sleeper when you're not sleeping next to someone, or a lighter sleeper when you're not sleeping next to someone?
I would say Rhiannon is a light sleeper regardless of whether she's sleeping next to someone or not. Just from the inquisitive training, it may or may not be safe to sleep here, therefore.
Living in a
We are
perpetual
on high
flight
alert.
response.
Yeah.
Okay.
Months of living on high alert. Yeah.
So tell
We
you
could be
what,
attacked at any moment.
I'll say
Plus, we're missing Zaya.
I'll say for Ember, Rhiannon, and Amaya, I would like you to pick each individually, even or odd.
Even for Rhiannon.
Odd.
And Amaya?
Odd.
Wow. Well, none of you are lucky on that roll. All right.
How?
Because I rolled opposite of what you guys chose.
Oh,
I thought you were
rolled
rolling one
individually.
time.
Yeah, I thought you
I was
rolled
like-
one number and we were all picking.
I was
How
very
could
I rolled one
either
dice.
be even
How?
or odd?
Someone
if we did
should
that,
be
then we could
awake.
metagame, and then we could guarantee that somebody would be awake.
So no, you are kind of sleeping at the moment.
That's
Gavin,
true.
jumping back to you.
Okay.
You see the individual kind of looks at you and goes, to answer your question as far as why am I here, I seem to have been drawn here. Easiest way to say this, or easiest way to explain it, is I have been touched by certain fates to perform certain tasks.
Gavin, I think at this point,
Judging by-
he laughs out loud at that.
Judging by who you are and, well, your reaction, I'm guessing you understand what I may mean by that.
You are also Destiny's bitch. Got it.
Ooh, I like that description. You see, he actually pulls out like a little logbook, and he pulls out a pencil and kind of writes something. What's your passive perception?
Oh, it's not high. Passive perception is a 10.
Or actually, I'm sorry. What languages do you read and speak again?
Celestial, Common, Draconic, Giant.
Let's just double check something. Okay, writes it in a language that you do not recognize.
Yeah.
So, but happens to write a few scribbles and slashes, and then kind of puts it away.
Curiosity, as I was raised a scholar, uh, I may not recognize what he wrote, but do I recognize the language he was writing in?
Good question. Go ahead and make a. I'll say it's an. I'll say it's another history roll.
Okay. 26.
Yes, I will say as far as the much like an English speaker recognizing say Cyrillic or something as far as the writing. The writing style itself appears to be, we'll call it fiendish. Not
Okay.
because you don't necessarily know abyssal or infernal, but
Right.
luckily they both kind of share the same visual alphabet, for lack of a better term. So some sort of fiendish script.
Okay. Only verifying further what I was already kind of suspecting. Um, you, my, my suspension of disbelief has been put to the test significantly over the past few months. But if you are who I think you are, you are drawn to people who are lost, who are drifting, who are in need of help. You give them some kind of test, and should they succeed at that test, you take them to wherever they wish to go, if the stories are to be believed.
That is the case, yes. Now
We,
he looks around at your ship and goes, I yes, no, that is the gist of the deal. Admittedly, when I am introduced, it usually means that you, well, to use your terminology, that someone has the potential to become fate's bitch for a short period of time. Although, knowing who you are, I'm guessing it's a much more significant impact in the overall game.
I think of anybody that we've encountered in all of our travels, you might be one of the only individuals, other than maybe that crazy hag that we met in Dargoon. Was it Dargoon or was it Drowan?
Droim. It was
Other than
one of
that
the.
crazy
It
hag that
was
we met in Drowan, you might be one of the only other people that understands that we didn't even want to start playing this game.
those that are prodded by fate rarely are.
So how does this work?
Well, I will, if you agree, you'll. Those of you that wish to join us will embark on a travel with me, and then once we've accomplished this task that will be set before you, provided your party succeeds in the task, then I take you wherever you need to go, provided it's touching enough water for my ship to get you through.
It's only one place we need to go. The question is, can you bring? And he kind of glances around at the ship.
Oh. Oh. Uh, I admit I was not expecting that. And
The
then he
ship.
kind of looks up, and I'm like, and he's like, "Am I might be able to tow someone along, but I don't know if I can grab both."
I don't. I have no attachment to the airship. None of us do. Up until recently, it was our target.
Very well.
I cannot
Um,
speak for everybody on the crew, but if you will allow me the opportunity to speak with everybody else, I can give you an answer.
very well. Um, then I will, I guess, begin preparations to tow your vessel.
Let's hold off until we have an answer fully, but I suspect we will be answering in the affirmative. We're all very tired and we've lost a lot, but it doesn't mean that we're going to stop. So he kind of looks over at Nikali. Do you mind going and waking everybody and having them come down to Zaya?
No problem. And he casts fly and flies up. And for the rest of you, you wake up to a bit of a alarm bell ringing.
Ah! What? Why?
What's
Snooze!
And Ember,
I
you wake
chuck
up.
a goblin.
Yeah, you wake up buried under a cuddle puddle of Wanda, Tulio, and Thralila.
No,
Unless you don't
not
want to.
not Thralila.
Yeah, Thralila's still alive.
No.
I didn't scratch. No, she's.
I lost one. I got Wanda. I have Tulio. I have no Thralila.
I have written only 7. Jelena, Tennyson, and 11 were deceased.
I think you brought back Thralila.
Oh, I thought.
Yeah. Wanda,
Because I had.
Wanda, Tulio, Thralila, Forsetti, Fivana, Sisyphus, Aethan, Nina,
Oh.
and Elvira were all alive. So no, your trio's alive. Dude.
Oh, okay. I had down that one of them didn't come back. Okay, never mind.
I guess.
Awesome.
I don't see anything
chucked
in my notes
Tulio.
as such. So you tossed Tulio?
I tossed Tulio. Snooze!
Ah!
Rhiannon immediately rolls into a crouch and reaches very sleepily for the staff. Where's it at? We'll head up to the deck.
Okay. You see Nikali is there. And kind of as people start getting up, kind of quits ringing the bell. But
Ember is the last one. Looks very haggard.
We have a personage down below and a ship that has pulled up along Zaya. And
oh god, we don't have to fight again, do we?
What
I have
ship?
no spells left.
well,
Where's
and
the
he
ship?
just kind of points down, and you look down, and sure enough, you see kind of below the sky ship there is a.
When the fuck did that get there?
Okay.
Just this morning.
What's happening?
Kind of came out of nowhere, to be quite honest with you.
Okay, so
I
fireballs?
don't like that.
Well, the
Ember starts. The hand starts warming up.
and you see he gently puts a hand on your hand and goes, probably not quite yet. But have it ready to go in case.
Can do that.
Look at me. I'm always ready to go.
So when you're prepared, I can get. I can get a few of us down there. I can't. Let's see. So.
I mean, we can take
And
turns.
Ember just go. So we need to fly over there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And Ember's wings flops out.
Okay.
I can carry as I pick up Rhiannon.
I get to be princess carried with flaming
Yes.
wings. I love
Absolutely.
this.
Amaya, Nikali just kind of looks over at you and then shrugs and offers his arms.
Sorry, this was that moment that I had to step
I
away
was
for a
gonna
minute, so
say,
I'm just
yeah.
going to go with the flow with this.
All right, and he will
You get
scoop-
princess carried by Nikali.
Yes.
Hey, he's a good-looking fella, so that's not the worst thing.
No, he's not bad looking. He's got an 18 charisma. He's easy on the eyes. Not that that's the end all and be all of charisma, but there you go. So the group of you then fly down. Barca will
Swear to
Roll
God,
over,
that's the
fart, fall back to
group
sleep.
Minimum.
yeah,
Guard the boat.
Well, he's keeping a suspicious eye on Costello of all things.
Oh no, Costello!
And Kaladin's like, I'll keep an eye on the two.
It's like Barca's, I keep eye on boat. Kellen's like, I keep eye on Barca.
Well, plus, Barca's like, it's okay. If I need to attack boat, I'll just drop down on it and hack it into pieces.
True. Very, very true.
Which is a traditional combat move of Barca.
Gabos, I need you to teach Costello steps 2 through 8. I want that done by the time I get back.
Okay, and you see Wanda, Julio, and Trilila grab Costello's hands and start moving them towards the middle of the deck, and Costello's like, wait, what? And it's like kind of being let off.
Somehow, 3 little Gabos is able to haul off a 2,000-pound robot.
He's not a full ton.
I know. I'm just.
Regardless, the rest of the party will fly down, and you see the person that I mentioned before kind of sitting on the railing of Zaya, a trident kind of set off to their side, leaning against the deck, having a discussion with. Oh, or maybe hiccuping and up a storm all of a sudden. Having a conversation with Gavin.
I glance up.
And sure enough, you see. Granted, the kind of the fogginess around the ship has kind of lessened a bit. So, like, even as you look over, you can see the ships, and you do see like at where you'd see the ocean. The ocean around the ships, there tends to be this sort of foggy cloud, but it's kind of below the top deck. But it hasn't quite completely gone away. Kind of like when sunlight starts to burn off fog a little bit.
So is that person directly in front of Gavin? Is there a gap?
I mean, we're not making out.
Well,
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
there's
like, if you
space.
could
I
be
mean-
talking closely.
I mean, you never know with Gavin.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
Nothing, I
There
don't
was
think
that
Gavin
dragon.
I don't think Gavin has as much of a monster fucker fetish as most people attribute for him.
That's fair. Also, doesn't this thing like not have a
Dragonborn.
mouth?
it does not have a mouth, in point of fact.
Yeah. So there, I don't know how
Who
you
know-
make
who
out
knows
with
what else
something
might- he might
that
not-
doesn't
they
It
have a
might
does
mouth.
not
not
have.
have a mouth, and it does not have a nose. It does have eyes.
I can make it work.
So there's no gap.
There is a gap.
As far as standing between him and Gavin, yes, there is space.
Okay. So we will land
Between them.
between them
Your
and
plan.
and do the threatening glare with our glowing hands and go, "Wah,
Hello.
we are here."
This is the
And
captain of the
slightly
Crimson
queer.
ship. They are here to potentially help us. They have a
Does that mean
proposal.
anything to me? The captain of the Crimson Ship. Do I know who that is?
You can also go ahead and make a history check.
Can I?
Yeah, you both can, absolutely.
Because that
Oh.
sounds like a bardic tale waiting
Maya,
to
I would
happen.
say you also can make a history. You being a
Use my
sailor, you
dice.
can also make a history check.
Oh, yeah. Gimme.
There's a reason why
Ugh.
I opened with the introduction.
I rolled a 10 on my history check.
23.
Nice.
I feel like
Bardic.
for Maya.
So-
ghost stories were probably not a huge part of my upbringing. I was too busy learning.
For Rhiannon,
Practical
yep,
stuff.
it's a ship. It's red.
It's a
Cool.
red ship. It's
I'm
like that
happy for the
story,
red
one
ship.
one ship, two ship, red ship, blue ship.
There you go.
Yeah.
And do we have audio for Maya?
Amaya had a 20.
Maya at a 20. Amaya and Ember, you know the tall tales or the fairy tales of the Crimson Ship as far as appearing out of a fog randomly, really in the strangest of places in Corvair, always on water of some kind, but like has appeared off the coast, has appeared in Lake in Carthen, I believe is the name of it, or in by the Elding Reaches, where it's like it's landlocked,
Yeah, no way of actually sailing.
right? Or even appearing on certain rivers that would have too shallow of a draft to allow a ship of this size to be able to navigate it, but is at least wide enough for the ship to appear. So, appears more or less out of nowhere, and as Gavin kind of mentioned in general, usually offers transport for a task in trade to take someone anywhere, provided there is a task that those people or individuals have to complete in order to get the transport to ultimately to wherever you need to go.
I will admit, Gavin is
Is this-
probably explaining all of that as well, just to kind of keep things talking, and also in case anybody doesn't know what that is.
Okay, well then Rhiannon will not see what she was going to say.
So, but we already have a tow. We are being towed.
You were working to get set up for one, but then I think you guys were ultimately retiring for the evening, so it was going to be a little bit of time to before today would have been your time to set up the tow cables and figure out how to get.
I will point out, Ember, that the airship is also very badly damaged. It will take a long time to tow Zaya, and we will be a giant target when we do. This will be potentially faster, and in terms of at least travel hazards, less dangerous.
So, are they offering to transport Zaya and us?
Your compatriot here, Chaos Spark, had mentioned needing the ship to be brought with you in this particular endeavor. I've Honestly, I've not done that before, but I think I can make it work. I, although I, at most, I think I would only be able to bring the one vessel. I don't know about kind of gestures up towards the airship.
Also, whoa about picking in the brain.
I don't know if it's picking in the brain so much as just our reputation precedes us on certain metaphysical levels.
But he's certainly not using
So-
a mouth to talk.
Who exactly are you?
I am the captain of the Crimson Ship.
Uh-huh.
And
My apologies, Truth Seeker, but I've been doing this for so long, I don't have a name.
how
you know
long
how
have
we're-
you been doing this?
Ooh, the nameless captain.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you when I started, but or when I was tasked, depending on how you look at it. But it has been probably thousands of years. I understand your suspicions. I do not make light of them, but know while you travel with me, at least while you are on board my vessel, you will not be harmed.
By you or by other things?
Yes.
And what about once we're not on your vessel?
Well, I can't guarantee your safety once you've left my vessel.
Are we under any threat from you?
No. Again, I will not harm you. Unless you intend to harm me first.
I kind of glance over at Ember at that, and like the glow fades from Rihanna's hands. Just a little
Yeah, we power down.
bit.
I will add, for what it's worth, every story that I've heard of the captain, and there have been a number, they've always been true to their word. For whatever that's worth.
This isn't one of those Fey deal situations where it's
I mean,
loopholes.
I mean,
You
feasibly,
get a-
and go ahead.
you get this almost this little bit of a chuckle.
Yep.
From like telepathic chuckle.
mhm.
Coming from the captain, and but I was like, no, not. If you mean that there are hidden parts to the deal, no, in so much that I, as is my arrangement, as your friend has stated, there will be a task, a trial, typically midway through the journey, that I would ask you to complete.
What's the nature of this task?
It may involve danger to your life in some form or another. Many times it does involve combat.
Does it involve straight up assassination?
Let me put it to you this way.
Because if we're starting a war, I want to know who with.
We would not want to make an agreement and be bound to do something that may be against our personal set of morals, I believe is where Ember's going with this.
We have enough countries after us.
It would not be something that you, more than that you or your party could potentially handle. Although I cannot say there would not be danger, but
Yeah.
This is more of a, well, as your associate here gestures towards Gavin has admitted, I'm somewhat similar into you, the children of calamity, and that I am also, I believe his wording was, one of fate's bitches.
Ember chuckles really fucking hard and loud.
Can I
I'm
roll like
in!
an insight check on this guy?
You absolutely can. Go ahead and roll insight.
My insight is shit. I'm in!
I get this for the bad, right? Yes. Okay. We're not rolling with D&D Beyond anymore because they're fucking me over.
I mean, I already get out a shot glass and I'm like, to fates, bitches!
I mean, all right.
Also, I want a ship named that.
22
Out of
for
this-
Rhiannon's insight.
Sorry, say that again.
22 for Rhiannon's insight.
As far as you can tell, now granted, some of your normal body language cues don't necessarily work in reading him because, you know, some of that is like micro expressions with the mouth and whatever, which they don't have one. That being said, temper that though with the fact that in this telepathic communication, you do get, in addition to the actual like words of communication, you do get kind of as sort of an extra layer certain impressions of emotions, we'll say.
You can do that with your eyes.
Well, and there's still other visual cues. It's not like you're completely sans, expressions, but it's a little bit different when the being is not a humanoid. Well, a humanoid, we'll put it that way. And truthfully, anyone can make an Arcana check if you want to try to identify what this person is. But you do get the sense that this person, Rhiannon, seems to be genuine in their offer.
25 on the Arcana check.
I had a dirty 20.
Especially Gavin and Rhiannon, you start to recognize this thing. It is actually referred to as an ultraloth.
A what?
An ultraloth.
Ultraloth.
Which is a form of... you've heard them fight in the Great Wars in, I believe it's the Plain of Shavarith, which is the Eternal War. Kind of Eberron's version of like the Blood War. But worse in some cases. But they're a form of like... To easily try to sum it up, they're a form of demonic mercenary. Typically, and the Ultraloths are sort of the warlords or generals of these demonic mercenaries. As far as their position in that war and what they typically do. And you know, in general, they are known, when hired, they in kind of a, I guess you could say, sort of an irony. In general, when they are hired, they are loyal to that employer until the end of the term of their agreement before they necessarily do any sort of demonic backstabbing that demon fiendish folk are normally known for. So, in that case, especially in the wars with other demons and angels and everything else in the plane of Shabrath, they're kind of a. As long as you know what you're getting into, they're pretty straight shooters, so to speak. Because otherwise, no one would hire them.
Fair.
So take that information as you will. I mean, you're not necessarily hiring this individual, nor are they necessarily, asking for an employment or offering employment. This is a different kind of bargain, but in general, that's what I guess you can kind of get from that. And Gavin,
Okay.
you as well. And I fear I maybe missed a question in there as I was going down that rabbit hole. Did I?
Nope.
It was just what the person was.
Oh, what the person was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ember, you recognize it. I'd say you recognize it as some sort of fiendish entity, but you can't quite necessarily place it.
I recognize it from a song.
Actually, probably like some sort of military march that you may have actually overheard some House Deneth mercenaries kind of humming to themselves.
Once Rhiannon kind of clocks what they are, she's gonna kind of like, we're real suspicious over here. She's
I
just
just
gonna
start humming.
like
that
ask
song.
him. She'll look back at him and just ask, and there's no agreement that involves payment via our soul, I'm assuming. I am hoping.
Are you, as a point of clarification, the captain asks, are you asking if you fail this task that your soul is forfeit to me?
Or that in exchange for taking us to do this and potentially giving us help, are we selling you our souls?
No. Not even the slightest. I have no interest in the soul trade.
And our souls are not forfeit should we fail.
I mean, we could die.
Your souls, most likely not, although I cannot say with 100% certainty as it depends on the task.
So if we go up against something that takes souls anyway, you can't guarantee it. Got it.
They're very businesslike. They're covering all bases. I like this.
Well, you don't just make a deal with a demonic mercenary without exploring all of your options.
And you get the telepathic feeling of a bit of a smile on that. It's like, admittedly, I have not been a mercenary for tens of thousands of years. But it's best to be cautious, and I understand your caution.
We've already lost one of our own. I don't exactly relish the possibility of losing more of my family.
If the choice were up to me, you wouldn't lose any, but it is not up to me. Not entirely.
Who decides the task we undertake? You?
Yes and no.
I don't like your lack of straightforward answer on that.
And my apologies for being obtuse. It's more of the fact that I will know more about the task when we arrive at it. Even I'm not 100% certain as to what happens until we get there. It's unfortunately part of the the gift and the curse that is the offer and the burdens I must bear being captain of my vessel.
Well,
Sure.
I have heard enough. If this might help Zaya, I'm in.
Yeah. Kind of like looking over and nodding toward Amaya and like, oh, me being in was never a question. We're going for after Zaya if we can. It's just going in with our eyes open.
If everybody's in agreement, then, and just kind of takes a quick read of everybody, just see, it's like, then I will begin preparations to get the tow line set up for your vessel. I will not leave until you are ready to go, but so take whatever time you may need to prepare. And kind of looks up at the airship and then at Zaya and kind of shrugs because doesn't really know what you need to do to prepare per se, like what your group is going to do. But
Finish our long rest that we got.
yeah, everybody did get a long rest except for Gavin. Gavin, you will have a short rest, but I'm also going to say you'll have a point of exhaustion.
That's fair.
Yay! Join the exhaustion crowd.
Well, and
Hey, but you're down to one.
I am.
You actually get rid of one level of exhaustion with your long rest.
No, I know. I already did that last game.
Okay.
Yeah, because we already did the long rest last game.
So in terms of speeding up time frame, we don't necessarily have to role play through everything, but we're just gonna kind of cover what you're doing to get people transferred or whatever to whoever's coming, going which way, and,
All right,
and
so
whatever housekeeping things you need to take care of before you depart.
Here's Gavin's proposal.
Yes.
We get all of our normal crew on board, obviously. We scuttle the airship, set the fire elemental free, and leave the prisoners on board the ship to their fate.
I mean, with the fire elemental gone, their ship will settle into the ocean, and I mean, it should still float. I mean, it's still wood.
Yep.
I mean, that wood is still really valuable.
It is.
I understand that, but I'm wondering how much of the crew was actually inspired, was it taken over by the Inspired, or how much are just Lyrandar people that had no choice. So the way I see it, we can leave it, because Lyrandar is going to come after Zaya again once we get her operational. We can leave it. They can figure out their own way, and at the very least, we don't get penalized by Lyrandar for being needlessly cruel.
I have an idea.
I'm terrified, but go on.
We line up the crew, and we name one of them captain, and we can tell them to start sailing this back to Lyrandar to give it back to them. And if they don't like that plan, if that captain does not like that plan, we give him to the fire elemental. And we move down the line.
Again, to the needlessly cruel thing, we promised to let the fire elemental go, and I figure we can just let them figure out whatever the fuck they're gonna do.
Fine.
Not the greatest thing, but I think that's the best we got.
At the very least, they get a Sorewood ship back. They can fucking deal with no elemental.
True.
Or, we've just introduced pirates into these seas. Either way,
I mean,
to be fair,
I'm
there's
just
probably
saying.
already pirates in the seas. Just
introduce
that's
more pirates into the seas.
That's right. If it becomes a problem, we'll fix it later.
That is
We'll get it in
definitely
post.
that is definitely our mantra these days.
But yeah, I'm absolutely setting the fire elemental free.
all of the
That's no
loose plot
question.
threads, all of them. No, anyway.
I was gonna make a comment. Fate's bitches in terms of like a group party name is not any
Right.
worse than the shits. So
I kind of enjoy Fate's bitches,
Right?
actually.
right.
I really enjoy it.
Here we are, 12th level, and now we finally have a party name. There.
Well,
I'm-
one of many. I mean, there is
You're one of
another.
the Children of Calamity,
Yeah.
the Berezaya Argia crew, like the captains. It's fine.
Yes,
It's fine.
but it's one that we've
develops.
actually come up with.
Right.
Right.
It is your own created name, though. that is
Although
true.
the captain's was
The captains was
first
also
one.
us. But that's been played into a lot less as it's become more and more clear that
Yeah.
Amaya is captain of Zaya, and we're all just kind
Yeah.
of sub-captains.
We
You're
really are.
officers.
We are
We really
officers.
are.
Just not the
At any rate,
chief officer.
so I think that is the plan. Game Maestro.
Okay. You managed to able to transfer the crew. Ember, when assuming you're the one that releases the elemental,
Absolutely.
um,
I would like to give it a message.
and in Primordial, when you kind of shatter the Kyber Dragon Shard to allow it to be freed, it ultimately, you hear it kind of roar in Primordial, or Ignan technically, but in Primordial, I am freed, and then and you feel it almost kind of enwrap you in flame for a moment, which is sort of
Give me
the
a hug.
elemental equivalent of like a hug or what have you. But to anyone else, it looks like you're just on fire. You're immolated.
I love you too.
Thank you, princess.
And I whisper in his ear, please have fun when we leave.
And it just chuckles, which to anyone else sounds like a fire kind of popping and sizzling, when you throw
Right.
a fresh log on it. But
I'm sorry, the both of us have been tortured on this fucking vessel. We're allowed.
Adam has thoughts on that, but Gavin doesn't know what's happening. So
Right.
I mean, there's an island 6 miles away. They might survive swimming there.
Hey.
And with that being said, while you're getting crew transferred and whatnot, you see the captain's vessel kind of, the oars kind of come out, and they sort of row. The ship rows itself to kind of get into place and throws tow lines and whatever. And you see the captain kind of take a moment and then sort of kind of close their eyes and sort of a gesture, and then kind of motions their hands backwards towards Zaya, and you see the mists that you've been seeing kind of still cloying at the base of the drum, and kind of extend out and kind of surround Zaya as well.
That's a neat trick.
I guess the bigger question would be is, who is going to be on board the Crimson ship, and is there anyone that is staying on board Zaya?
Amaya will stay on board Zaya.
Okay. Your sister will also join you, Amaya, and depending on how comfortable you feel with it, will be there to. Well, I guess you put the crystal in your bag of holding, so I guess that doesn't really, as far as the safety of the crystal goes, in that regards. So never mind. But your sister will still be with you.
I will also be on Zaya, watching her like a hawk.
Okay.
I think Gavin is going to go to the Crimson ship, honestly.
Yep, Ember's on the Crimson. Because Ember only knows the stories and the songs, and I am enthralled.
Just to double check, do you invite Costello to join you?
Yes.
Okay. Costello does so. So Costello will also be on the Crimson ship, which probably also means Barca's on the Barca will actually go up to Riri. It's like, Riri, I don't trust the metal guy, but I also want to make sure you're okay. And I'm torn because they're over there and I'm over here, and I mean I can kind of do the small thing where I disappear and then reappear because I got a good boy, and he pets his cloak. But
Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident that Amaya can back me up if I need it. You know, Amaya's quite a badass. I don't really trust the metal guy either, and I really don't trust this whole ghost ship thing. So if you would go stay with Ember and Gavin, I would be a lot more comfortable.
Okay.
Thanks, buddy.
I'll protect Ember. And then he starts walking over there and then stops and comes back, gives you a big bear hug, and then proceeds to start actually grabbing one of the tow cables and climbing across. Because
my back popped a little bit when he squeezed me. It felt real great.
Probably a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
You know how that goes. Depending on where you guys want him, Nikali's good going either spot, so it doesn't really matter as far as that. Otherwise, I will assume the rest of the crew would stay aboard Zaya.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My combos would.
So once everything's set, you see the captain. It's like, shall we?
Gestures. Go for it.
And you see the bead makes a gesture, and you see the oars kind of come back in, and then all of a sudden the sails start to unfurl, which is interesting because as soon as they unfurl, wind starts to kind of pull the sails taut, and you feel the vessel start to move forward. As it does, though, instead of kind of drawing yourself away from the mist, like you'd kind of expect, in fact, the mists seem to kind of curl up and sort of cocoon both vessels. And it's weird because the day, at least when the mist was kind of low towards the base of the hull, it was a fairly sunny day out, but now it's very sort of kind of got that super gray overcast sort of feel. The captain, for those that are on board the Crimson ship, the captain offers you, please feel free to take whichever guest cabins or quarters you would like.
How long will our journey be, do you figure?
I'm not quite certain. There is a little bit of timelessness to it. There are some foodstuffs that you
I'm only
report.
saying because I didn't get to sleep last night, and if we're going to go fight something, I want to be fully rested.
Sure. Um, that being said, it really just kind of depends on how long it take. I don't have full control over how long it takes to get us there. It's more of a it happens when it happens. Admittedly, some of this is a bit out of my control in some sense.
We
But there are some amenities. I mean, as far as checking out any guest quarters or whatever, the accoutrements are fairly uh, Spartan and and in some cases kind of well worn, but comfortable in terms of like bedding and whatnot. There is food. Most of it is uh, it looks like some of it could be more kind of some maybe slightly stale bread,
Echo. What's
but
the
only like maybe
notification?
a day or two stale, so still edible. And you see there's kind of stew cooking in a pot, in a cauldron that doesn't seem to have doesn't seem to go down a whole lot, so to speak, in terms of when you scoop
No,
the
thank
food
you.
out of it. But
No,
it
thank you.
looks tasty and smells good, and doesn't have anything in it that a person would not normally eat. No witches brew eyes and newt and fingers and all that kind of stuff. It's like,
Well,
probably like a
when done prepared correctly, it can be quite nice.
I
nothing that gives you the heebie-jeebies. We'll leave it at that.
I don't care if it gives me the heebie-jeebies. I want to know if it gives me the shit. Um,
Um, I will say during the voyage, you do see the captain kind of sitting down in this, again, kind of well worn, nice upholstered but kind of well worn chair, um, kind of sitting from time to time in front of a table with a game of Conqueror on it, which is kind of Eberron's version of chess.
I will fully challenge him to a game.
Oh, Amber
Very,
will watch.
very well. I would give me just a moment, and then just kind of pulls out a book and kind of again writes down some information, and then kind of observing the chessboard, and then puts away their book, and then kind of helps to reset up the game and gets you set up. And I would say, oh, if you have, I guess technically you can have proficiency in gaming sets, like tool sets.
You absolutely can.
Dragon
So
chess is one of them.
Yeah, Ember is proficient in it.
So I would say for all intents and purposes, I'm going to say Conquer and Dragon chess are. Dragon chess is probably the more colloquial term for it. Granted, Karnath, where it was invented, they call it Conquer, so it's much more common to be called Conquer there. But you get the gist. Yeah, if you want, go ahead and make a. Go ahead and roll a. We'll call it intelligence. Intelligence plus your proficiency.
Okay. I am not proficient in dragon chess, and unfortunately, because of my point of exhaustion, I'm rolling with disadvantage. I got a 9.
So I rolled horribly for the person. He also got a 9.
Oh, so we played to a draw.
you and you play actually probably for a couple of hours, but you do get to the point where you're both like, you realize that, yeah, like you're not supposed to be able to play to a draw, but somehow you both played to a draw, and when you get to that point where you both have been staring at the board forever, but when it kind of comes to dawn on you, that realization, you're both kind of like, huh, like you have never heard of that happening. I mean,
Right.
it's a game where technically one side is supposed to win,
Yeah.
but so you're at that point, you see he kind of pulls out their book and starts taking some notes.
Gavin actually also pulls out a book and starts taking some at this point. And actually, at this point, as he's doing that, he kind of looks up at the captain and kind of says, "This is like, I missed my dad, obviously, but this is, I think, the first time that I wished he was alive so that I could tell him about all of this."
Ember just walks over to the fucking board and solves it for both of them. She rolled a 20.
Fair enough.
And just, like, looks at both of them with disgust and walks away.
And you see they both kind of look down, look at her walk away, and kind of look down, and then kind of look. It's like, would you like to play again?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much.
Kind of reset the table, and yeah.
Oh my god, 2 hours wasted!
Just quick question.
Yes.
You said there was food here. This is out of character. You said there was food here.
Yes.
Is there anything the equivalent of like a good berry or something like that so I can nix this exhaustion off? Because I am not sleeping. I don't trust this guy.
No, nothing magical in the terms of like a good berry, unless you have the ability to cast it yourself.
I don't
That
know.
would require a druid.
Yeah.
Or a ranger. I don't know. I'm going to continue playing badly at Conquer.
Didn't we hit? Wasn't Narashti?
Tell you what, let's go ahead and do one more roll.
I believe Zaya could make some good berries.
Wow, I'm rolling bad for this guy. Just
Bad
saying.
again.
I'm 5. Again, I'm rolling with disadvantage.
Well, he got a 15, so that time
He soundly beats me.
soundly beats you. But we'll say in general, the games, depending on how long you play and how many games, as far as overtime, that we'll say it's probably like 60-40 as far as how many wins he gets versus you get, kind of thing. But it's entertaining as far as what it is. When you are finally done and set to semi-retire, or at least take watch or what have you, you notice that the captain does pull out the book and then kind of set the board back up to what it was set up before you guys were playing.
Honestly, if he took a diagram of it, that's not necessarily language specific. If he allows me, I would help him set it back up.
Sure. Go ahead and make a. I'll have you go ahead and make like a. I'll call it another intelligence dragon chess roll.
Okay. Oh, this disadvantage is kicking my ass. Still. I mean, 13. Not bad with disadvantage.
No, 13's not bad at all. You do recognize something, or as you're setting it up, you recognize something that where the pieces are currently set, and assuming that the captain is on the side that the captain has been on as you've been playing the game, the setup of where everything's at involves potentially a major piece of the opponent of the opponent of the captain losing a major piece, but requiring also kind of a hefty sacrifice in terms of piece value in order to do so.
Okay.
Is kind of where the piece is kind of currently set on the board.
Given that, can I quickly try to take? Well, but he's leaving it there. I think what I might do is we're setting it back up after he kind of walks away. I'll actually pull up my like, and I won't make a secret of this. I'll pull up my book and just kind of take stock of what's there, where the pieces are and positioned and all that stuff.
Okay.
I think recognizing that I might want to analyze this later, recognizing that my very tired brain is not processing super well.
Well, and I'll say go ahead and also make since you're spending a bit of time with the captain, and Ember, since you've been kind of watching how things have been going and also spending time with them, I would say both of you can make an insight roll.
Sure.
Skill checks counters ability checks for the purposes of exhaustion, correct?
Yep.
Correct. Yeah, they label them as all the same, so.
4.
4. Yep, 4.
You don't recognize anything. You're tired. It's been a long day.
I just have.
I'm now
this
seeing the value
stupid
of
song in my head.
Of somebody who's not exhausted, perhaps joining them on the Crimson Ship.
Hey, it's
Barca.
fine.
Oh, Barca!
Yeah,
We have Barca.
Barca is there, but Barca is less giving the captain the stink eye because Ember and Gavin are there to do that.
Right.
Barca is 100% focused on giving Costello the stink eye.
And Costello doesn't have eyes to give any stink to.
Well, Costello's eyes don't stink in that sense, but you get the idea. So thinks Barca's doing their job pretty well, but they're not paying as much attention to the captain.
Okay.
Some time passes. For those who you do see that the fog, because you can't really see the sky so much, but the fog starts to get a bit darker, and just judging by time frame, you think it is starting to enter into evening. Is there anything you wish to do in terms of evening time, or for any of you?
I honestly think Gavin at some point will try to just rest his eyes and just passes the fuck out.
That's fair.
Like, he doesn't mean to. He fully intends to just, I'm just going to rest my eyes for a minute, it'll be fine, and just, within a minute, is out cold.
Okay.
Ember's going to sleep because, exhaustion.
And it's sort of this weird thing, Ember, where, Costello kind of stands watch outside your door. The door is maybe cracked open just a little bit in case, someone needs to enter in. And you did see Barca at one point in time stand on the other side, also standing at attention. However, when you wake up in the morning, and you see that Barca is leaning against the wall with a little drool coming out, like sitting against the wall with a little drool coming out, holding his axe. His little feet kind of going every once in a while, in the dream of whatever he's chasing. Costello is still standing there. In fact, if this were a movie, it'd be one of those movie fades where, like, Costello didn't really move, but Barca did, kind of thing, you know.
Optical flip.
But Gavin, as far as the rest of the party back on Zaya, other than, I guess during the day, is there anything you would like to do? Otherwise, in the evening, is there anything you would also like to do?
I would take as much time as I can with my lessons, and can just continuing to keep an eye on Katari. And if at any point like Amaya gets the crystal with Zaya in it out, I would want to be there for that and be
Okay.
present. I don't know that Amaya's going to, but just
Okay. And for Amaya, do you
Oh, Amaya is.
Amaya probably doesn't do anything too. She's probably real quiet, real reserved, very meditative, very kind of focusing on the crystal that Zaya's in right now and just thinking, trying to reach out, trying to connect.
Okay. For what it's worth, your sister just kind of stays at your side. Doesn't, I mean, you get in the very general sense there if you want to talk to someone, otherwise, just there to be a shoulder hug. You get, she's very worried about both you and Zaya.
Yeah.
Um,
And Amaya is probably pretty obviously taking great comfort in that presence.
but doesn't, yeah, just you know, in general, doesn't necessarily understands that you know you can be more of the stoic type, so kind of is just there for you, however that is.
Sure.
I would say Rhiannon, in the times that you do come across Katari, she she's honestly hasn't really been picking on you a whole lot. You can definitely tell her she's you with your investigative mind. I know you have a decent passive insight and everything, so I'm not gonna force you to roll anything. You can pick this up pretty clearly, but she's extremely worried for her sister and for Zaya for that matter, but understands that you know in the short time she's traveled with you guys, understands what, or at least has a better understanding what Zaya means to everybody, and so is definitely not in the I'm gonna tease or torture kind of thing.
yeah. Rhiannon distrusts her, obviously. Not so much distrusts her around Amaya because obviously like there is very clearly that bond between Amaya and her sister. But there is just like this deep-seated fear in Rhiannon that somehow like Katari is possessed and is playing the long game.
Sure.
And like Rhiannon's focus is on getting Zaya back, keeping Zaya safe, and keeping her away from Katari.
Do you have any I forget how much cleric and how much sorcerer you are. Do you have access to any telepathic
I only have up to level 2 spells for cleric. So I don't think I have any sort of. I mean, I have like detect evil and good. I don't know if that would work in this instance.
Well, if I recall, detect evil and good
I think
detects
it's just like
undead
It's
and fiends
alignment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe dragons, if I remember.
Aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead.
Aberrations too. Okay.
Mhm.
Do you use that on her at some point?
Well, it's within 30 feet of me, as well as where the creature is located. So yes, definitely.
Okay.
It's
I will say this much.
actually one of the spells in my mark, believe it or not.
You do not um, you do not get a sense of an aberration or anything, which is I think what warrior spirits more or less show up as aberrations or monstrosities. I think I'd have to double check. I forget some of the terminology for the types, but so you do not sense that
Hmm.
with Katari. Um,
That doesn't mean she's not playing the long game still,
you
because Amaya's parents were evil, and Katari could be low-key evil, just hiding it.
well, just because you're a dick doesn't mean you're possessed, and
True,
just because you're
possession's not the
possessed
only
doesn't
thing
mean
that
you're a dick.
Rhiannon. Yeah,
But
possession's not the only thing Rhiannon's concerned about. She was also with Amaya's parents for how long, right? Like she could have been turned.
Right.
yeah, I mean, I will say this much because of your keen insight. You know, you do get a sense that Katari and Amaya have been skirting around a conversation regarding their family that you get the sense as far as reading body language and whatnot, or Katari definitely wants to have at some point. Um, but like now is definitely not the time. like not the time or place. And so there is a little bit of turmoil you get in sense of just some little snippy
Mhm.
remarks every once in a while, but um, like you can read between the lines and read sibling speak. That there's definitely something more to that conversation that they need to have at some point, at least as far as Qatari is concerned. But
Mhm.
you, but they're not. She's not pushing it at this point because of the current everything
Yeah.
that's going on.
Hmm.
As far as that goes. Um,
And then just sorry, a quick question for the GM. If we're getting to sleep, uh, would I be able to? Would you allow me to hold off preparing my cleric spells for the day until we find out what the task is, or would I need to
sure,
prepare
because
them beforehand?
basically to get your spells, you have to kind of pray for a little bit of time.
Hmm.
So yeah, you can kind of
Okay,
hold
thank
off.
you.
And I will say, depending on what you want to do, there will be definitely have plenty of time if you do want to take a look uh, at the equipment, because I know you mentioned the staff and the crown. Which I guess the question would be, Amaya, do you hand those off to Rhiannon to take a look at,
I think
or
she did already, actually.
I might have.
okay?
Or at least Maya had pulled out the crown, the staff, and had dumped out the body. Oh, I already did last night before I slept. I took an hour with each of the items. You were going to
Okay.
give those to me, but I do not have them yet.
The staff is a staff of striking.
Okay.
Ooh.
Striking. That's the snake one, yeah?
No.
No.
No, if it was a snake one, it'd be, I think, staff of the adder, or there's
adder.
there's also like a rod of,
Okay.
or staff of the python or
Wait.
adder, I think, are the snaky ones.
Oh,
Striking,
nice.
is it a lightning?
Force damage.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's a nice staff.
I mean, it's not a bad deal.
Okay.
The crown is something different. It is a so the crown is it takes a little bit more getting used to, and you do have to do a little bit more research with your books and stuff too. But you recognize it as in terms of psionic items, in comparison to common magic items. The crown is similar in terms of effects to certain stabs, magical stabs that you can cast spells with. Except in this case, it's a crown. So the crown will have it'll have we'll call it 5 charges. And
I assume this is a homebrew.
This is going to be a homebrew. It's not going to be a.
Sounds good.
It is going to require attunement in terms of that, but it has we'll call it 5 charges, and it gives you the ability to cast. I'd say for 1 charge, detect thoughts. Let's see here.
Like telekinesis or.
For 2 charges, you can do Phantasmal Killer. Or
what part of Be Quiet do we not understand?
I suspect that was aimed at the kids.
Sorry, that was not at any of you. Sorry, for 2 charges, Phantasmal Killer.
Phantasmal Killer, Telekinesis, or Rari's Telepathic Bond.
Can you spell that for me?
Rary.
Ary. Thank you. Telepathic Bond. Got it.
For all 5 charges, you can do a Dominate Monster.
Oh.
However, if you do all 5 charges, you roll a d20, and if you roll a 1, it loses its. Basically, if you use the last charge, much like a lot of other things, you roll a d20. If you get a 1, you've exhausted the psionic potential. And those spells, as far as the charges, are just cast at their lowest normal caster level.
Base. Got it. Cool.
And it does require attunement.
Does it give you any like?
Does it get
plus
charges back at dawn?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm making up things as I go. Where did I let me double check one thing real quick. Because again, I'm kind of comparing this to a staff, as magic staff. So
Yeah. No.
Staff, magic staff.
I dig this. Love
actually, a lot of staffs have different.
Yes.
So I'm going to change slightly what I said, and then I'm going to actually say 10 charges.
Ooh.
So you can use extra charges to increase increasing the spell slot.
Mm-hmm.
It will regain a D6 plus 4 daily at dawn. And then as before, expend the last charge, roll a D20 on a 1. The crown basically shatters into dust. Because, yeah, I'm looking at most of the magic staves. They're usually about 10 charges. So we'll go with that. Sound good?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I would like to put in a bid for that crown.
Oh, I also want the crown. Very badly. Because I have a plan.
I mean, is it a plan for a specific thing, or is it a plan just for overall world domination?
It's a backup plan in case things don't go as planned with all of this.
Oh,
I will say, if you want to give it a title as far as a name, it is the Crown of Dominance.
Ooh, I really want it.
Okay, hear me out.
It's like a dominatrix, like gothic crown. It's got black crystals and just really.
Okay, hear me out. What if I take this for now, and after we have Zaya back successfully, you can have the crown?
That never works out. That
what do you mean that never works out
for people.
What do you mean that never works out? Look at this really cool staff.
I will point out that there are also other members of the crew that may want things.
Oh, you want the crown?
And I don't give a flying fuck about the crown, nor do I give a flying fuck about the staff. I'm just saying it isn't going to just necessarily be down to the two of you.
I mean, I have the crown right now, and you're on a different ship, so.
And I will say, you guys do have a
that is true.
plethora of magic items that I think are still kind of sitting in the hold, not doing anything. But but regardless.
Yeah, but they're not this cool crown.
Hey, Amaya. Since you're the other PC on the ship. Hear me out. This crown. I want it. Can I have this for now?
Wow.
I love it that Amaya's the only one there for that
You guys made your choices.
Because Ember's on the other ship.
You could have written on Zaya. Nobody had to go on the Crimson ship.
Funny as hell.
I mean, we will have words when we get back.
You can try.
If you want to be very specific, you were studying these items when you were still aboard the airship that first
I know,
week.
but then everybody went to sleep, and then we woke up to this ship being here, and then she left. So I just haven't had time to talk about them yet.
I'm just saying, since we kind of doodle-doo, in that time frame of getting the ships ready and departing, you could have made your peace.
I could have, but I didn't, because I was focused on other things.
Or for that matter, someone could have asked about the items because
if they remembered.
Yeah, I would like to retcon that I asked about the fucking items.
Come on!
I'm loving all this squirminess. It's kind of beautiful in a way. For right now,
Especially if it was an epic crown like that, Ember would not have forgotten that shit.
So I'm gonna pass by this for now. You can all have the discussion off
I mean,
screen,
you can
so to
have the
speak.
crown. It's fine.
Thank you. You can have it
Or
later.
we can deal with it at a later date. The night does go by, so everybody gets a long rest. Ember and Gavin, you do lose a point of exhaustion.
I'm
Sybaris for that. Good lord.
I'm cured.
Hey,
You
do you want the
do-
staff, Ember? Because I think
No, I can't use it anyway. It doesn't matter.
You can't use the staff?
Everybody,
I mean, I
if you have
could, but I
simple
don't have
weapon
Order staff.
proficiency, which pretty much everybody has.
Yeah, it's a force staff. It doesn't require it requires attunement, but not by any specific class.
I don't have slots.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm giving up my cloak of protection to take this crown, so
Yeah, it's not worth giving up my cloak of protection for the staff.
that's fair.
And that's how they're downfall begin. Anyway,
Mike.
but you what kind of surprises you is you actually feel the for those that are on board the Crimson ship, you feel the kind of the a bump or a shudder kind of go through the ship, which is what kind of probably wakes you more than anything, as you feel that the vessel has come to a ground. For those that are on board Zaya, you are also kind of jostled a little bit as Zaya seems to kind of come to a halt.
I run to the deck.
Okay.
Like, hands are warming up, running.
I fully fell asleep on deck, so I just kind of sit up.
I will say there is probably like a blanket kind of draped over you, Gavin. Kind of a well-worn blanket.
Nice. Whether that was Barker or the captain remains to be seen.
Yeah, you're uncertain, but you don't see Barca immediately until a few minutes later when Ember, Costello, and Barca behind Costello, keeping an eye on him, kind of come up onto the deck. What you see as it's almost like the mist or the fog kind of almost at first it sort of expands out, but you get this sort of hot humidity wetness as you realize that you are very much back in a what appears to be a kind of a jungle-ish sort of setting, and it appears like you're on maybe like a riverbank, which is maybe just slightly wider than the width of the ship. Like, realistically, there's no way, like, this river would be way too shallow for a ship this big to get a draft through, but
it's more like a channel, kind of.
Well, that is I guess the magic of the Crimson ship is how it's done. But the biggest thing, though, that does that you do notice, though, that kind of draws your attention, other than the heat and humidity that seems to, as the mist sort of expands out, the humidity rolls in, and it's just like, oh, okay, it's kind of but you see, as it rolls out, you see these shadowy pillars. Like at first, as you realize just judging as you kind of follow the shadow up and you see this immense tower structure that covered and carved in all sorts of different vine covered frescoes of very kind of Aztec feeling sort of ruins, as you realize that your ship and your crew and Zaya and everybody has appeared effectively on what appears to be on a river somewhere in Zendrick. Now the kind of the interesting thing is it in this particular case it almost looks like the tower rises up actually only about 200 feet, which is surprising because usually they're like kind of mountains unto themselves. And you start to realize that it almost looks like this tower may have sunk at some point in time, because the area that you are seeing is definitely what more open area that would be further up top of the pillars that are of the towers that you have been to in the past in your exploits, which is also kind of fun to think of, that you've had several exploits in Zendrick and you can say you've explored bits and pieces, which, it just kind of dawns on you as that random tidbit, like, oh yeah, we have done some of that shit. All right. And so as you're kind of sitting there, kind of figuring out kind of what the next step is, those of you that are on Zaya that come up deck to kind of see what's going on, you do hear telepathically from the captain, the trial is only meant to involve those that are the children of calamity. I would ask your other crew members to stay behind, and I will, as long as they stay aboard the ship, they will be protected, as I have said and offered.
Right. Kaladin, you keep an eye on Costello. Nikali, you keep an eye on what was Amaya's sister's name?
Nikali is one of the children of calamity.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Technically, Nikali is one of the children.
And given that this is Zendrick, Nikali would probably be quite useful. Does Nikali recognize this area or know anything else about this area?
That is a great question. Sadly, it doesn't have history, though, and he rolled a 3, so nope.
Fair.
Jungle.
Now, I will say, at one point, when you hear that, Amaya, you hear Katari go, fuck that shit, and you see she kind of goes, and then all of a sudden you see Katari appear right in front of the captain. And she's like, fuck this. And all of a sudden, and then appears in front of the captain again. And she's like, looks fairly pissed, and he just shrugs.
I just start giggling.
I just kind of puts a hand on Katari's shoulder, like, it's okay.
Katari, I feel like one of us should at least say this much. Apparently, regardless of whether you like it or not, you are also one of Fate's bitches.
No. I think the point here is that she's not one of Fate's bitches. She can't be part of our special club.
She's being the bitch of fate currently. At any rate, are we all together
She's
at
going
this
through
point?
initiation.
So you do you all gather? I guess at least on the
Yeah.
one of the vessels. I guess if nothing else, or
Yeah, I think we
group
would
together.
we would definitely gather.
I'm going to give everybody a quick 10-minute pep talk about how we got this. It's fine. We've seen worse. We literally took out a fucking fuck all ancient goddamn son of a bitch dragon. Two of them, in fact.
Three of them, in fact.
Three of them, in fact. And I will use my inspiring leader feat
Okay.
to grant everybody temporary hit points.
You
How
go
many
ahead
temporary
and
hit
do
points?
that, and as you finish up, you see the captain is
The 12 temporary?
17.
Oh, 17.
17. Fuck yeah.
So I
Dang.
haven't used it in a while.
the captain is kind of looking around a bit, and then you see the captain looks at a specific what looks to be it looks like it is a skull of like a large like elephant or mammoth sort of skull, but like definitely like oliphant sized if you were to give it a size category, like ginormous megafauna that
Jesus.
seems to be strapped up to the kind of tied off onto this tower, and you see that there is a kind of a glyph sort of carved or etched into it that has kind of a brownish tinge to it. It looks like it was maybe blood was used to kind of stain the carving or indentation to make it stick out, and it is written in giant. Who
Me.
speaks giant?
Me and Barca badly.
So you
Actually, no. Barca's fluent now, so no, he fully reads it now.
it effectively says like stone collar or storm collar. Pardon me.
Caller Caller or
Yes.
Collar?
Caller, storm collar. Sorry, not stone collar, storm collar. That was my
Okay,
trip
thank
up.
you.
And I would say Bear and maybe to some extent Barca eventually realize that with how the glyph is set up, you know it is predominantly the glyph or wording, however you want to put it, is definitely set up in such a fashion as to denote like a clan. Not just necessarily just a word thrown out there. Like it has the whatever honorifics in the wording that would denote it as being like a familial clan kind of thing.
So is this a marker? Property line?
Does Nikali also speak giant?
Nikali does, in point of fact, speak giant, yes.
Of course he does.
Have any idea of the Stonecaller clan?
Stormcaller.
Stormcaller clan, like I said.
I do not. I have not heard of them. And then you hear this kind of deep, basso profundo, bellowing voice yell out in giant. Your kind are not welcome here. And you see a large piece of boulder tree crash down on the riverbank, spewing up kind of a huge chunk of kind of wet sand that kind of spittles everything. And you see this kind of grayish blue-skinned giant, which you thought at one point was one of the pillars or was maybe standing behind one. It's hard to tell with the mists a little bit. But steps out from behind, and then points towards the captain. Is like, "You most of all, Captain." And I think that's where we're going to take a break.
It's a good place.
So we'll
Sounds good.
maybe come back and say ideally 10-ish minutes.
Let's call it 10 minutes.
15?
15? Okay. Cool. All right, we'll be back in 15 minutes, folks. Hello, we're back.
Welcome, everybody. So, what you have seen is you are, due to the Crimson Ship's ability to bring people wherever fate determines they need to go, has brought you to a river next to the ruins of Zendrick, where a giant of some kind, a very large giant, larger, quite frankly, than any of the giants you have ever seen, to be quite honest, has thrown a rock near the ship, splattering several of you with wet sand. And pointing out towards the captain and saying in giant that you are not welcome here.
At which point Gavin kind of turns to the captain and kind of goes, "What precisely are we meant to do here?"
Unfortunately, well,
Assassinate that guy.
I sorry, let me start at the beginning. Your crew has not been the first to sail with me, nor will it be the last. Our friend here had traveled with me in the past and knows what my appearance here means.
Are we here to kill him? What are we doing?
I fear it's worse than that.
I don't like that statement.
And you kind of hear telepathically, because this captain's just kind of broadcasting it out, so everybody here is like, perhaps if we have a moment to talk. And you see the mist does kind of seep deeper into the canopy of the jungle and whatnot, and into the ruins a little bit more. And you do see, in fact, there are several giants in kind of an encampment within these pillars. What appears to be 5, you're guessing, adults? Or 6 adults, pardon me.
I mean, at a certain size,
Oh.
there's really just no telling.
But, well, and admittedly, you see that some of the pillars that you thought were pillars, as the mist kind of burns back a little bit, you see they're not pillars, but are in fact giants. There are 6 of them, adults, that you can tell, and you see one of them is, at least one of them is female, and is currently holding on to 2 human-sized bundles that you are guessing to be babies.
Sorry,
I'm just gonna glare at the captain.
And you can go ahead and make an insight check on the captain as well, since you've spent at least a little bit of time.
That's not.
May I also make an insight check?
You can, but I will say for you, Rhiannon, you will roll with disadvantage. Not that it probably
I'm
matters.
sorry, what? Me? I'm teasing you.
This is mainly because you were on Zaya for the trip as opposed
fair.
to... I mean, it may not matter, but...
Oh, that would have been so awesome.
My insight is not great. It's
About a 12.
13.
22.
You all read that the captain is not happy with this. You get the sense that this. You get the sense that the captain didn't necessarily know 100% where you guys were going, but is definitely not happy with this.
I'd like an explanation, Captain.
It appears that fate has dealt us a cruel hand at this moment. Volstagg. I wish we were not here. You promised me. You promised me if we did your deed, that you would bring us to a place of safety. To raise our children safely for the future of Zendrick. And now you arrive with these mites. And the betrayers, you see, looking at, it says looking at Nikali.
Rhiannon steps in front of Nikali.
And Ember follows suit.
I would say go ahead for those that would like to. You can go ahead and roll like I'd say either history or arcana.
Oh, history.
Definitely arcana.
Nope.
18 arcana.
My God, I'm on the wrong character sheet.
20 history.
It would have been worse insight. Oh my God, I rolled a 2. 12. Oh my God, this is the
And
worst.
Ember, you were rolling history?
I was. Oh my
Okay.
God.
So I will say Amaya. I mean, the rumors and the education and whatever is that Zendrick used to be a continent with giant nations. Some sort of calamity happened in the past.
It was a boring lecture. I fell asleep.
You know that yes, that's pretty much what Ember gets out of it. Other than the one phrase you heard your professor say before you kind of zoned out, which was, Zendrick, there be giants.
Yep. Zendrick, giants, got it. Don't go there.
I'd say, Amaya, because you have a unique perspective, being that you have a quarry spirit, a shard of a quarry spirit kind of bonded with you, so to speak. Because of your dual soul, so to speak, at least in history, that the thousands upon thousands of years ago, tens of thousands potentially, I forget exactly, but a long, long time ago, there was a war between effectively the Dreaming Dark of Dalcor and the Giants. And as far as you know, the part of the reason why Dalcor was severed from Eberron is because of whatever powerful magic the Giants had used to basically sever Dalcor's direct connection to Eberron, which is why you can't just plane shift to Dalcor. It doesn't happen. It's also why the 13th moon, which kind of represents which is also kind of usually typically linked to the realm of Dalcor, was also kind of shattered in that regards. But the giants paid a heavy price in doing this magic, and they weren't unaffected in this powerful release of energy that was literally continent shattering in some cases. In fact, some people believe like the whole traveler's curse and all the funky weirdness of Zendrick is in part some of the remnants and funkiness of whatever big magic ritual and hoo-has that the giants did to cause this calamity, so to speak. You know that the giants, at least the giants of old, no longer exist, or at least not that anyone has discovered or knows of. The closest thing there is to the giants of old would be a very rare group of giants referred to as storm giants, who have a mastery typically over weather, are usually aquatic in nature. In fact, a lot of them, because they are aquatic in nature, usually live in Shargan's Teeth and like in the ocean.
Okay.
You know that in general, I mean, other than being ginormous, because they're considered huge size, they easily stand. Each one of them easily stands like 40 feet tall, and that they're built like a brick shithouse. They also do have some mastery over the elements in terms of weather and things of that nature. Like they,
Gotcha.
and that in a lot of ways, thunder and lightning is their friend.
Okay.
Rhiannon, your arcana was a what?
22.
So on more of the arcane side of things, you do recognize that they are storm giants. Other than being massively strong and huge and probably one of the most powerful types of their kind, you do know that in general they're immune to like thunder and lightning. They have mastery over weather potentially. They even can call down bolts of lightning, which, quite frankly, are more impressive than lightning. The majority of lightning-based spells in anyone's arsenal. In addition to that, they're extremely powerfully strong, and while not necessarily prone to violence or anger, they don't tend to start fights, but they do tend to finish them.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And you see the captain's like, so going back to the discussion, you see the captain telepathic is like, I understand your frustrations. I did not choose to come here. Fate, unfortunately, has chosen. I have no control over it. I don't like it. I don't want what is to come next to happen.
What exactly is to come next?
What language do you ask that in?
common. I don't speak giant, unfortunately.
You see the giant looks over at you and in very kind of a stunted comment says, "He means for you to kill me."
Why?
Yes, why? And you see the captain kind of just drops his head. It's like, I'm sorry. There are times apparently where fate has decided that it needs to take a powerful piece off of the game board. And sometimes that requires a sacrifice.
That's not a good enough answer.
That's a shit answer.
Just him?
Why are you hesitating?
I'm sorry, say that again. Some of it cut out with all the everybody.
Oh!
Gavin said just him and pointed at the head giant guy.
Really?
River shares our feelings about this. Yeah.
Apparently she does. I don't know. Typically these battles are meant to be with opponents of equal power and abilities.
Battle!
There are 6 of you. There are 6 of them.
And
No!
kids.
No.
Wait, hold on. What if one of us went against him?
No. That is not equal in power. He could crush any of us or all of us with a pinky.
That was not.
I will fight him.
What if it was one of us against him?
No, there has to be a different solution for this that doesn't mean us fighting and killing anybody. You want them off of the game board, or Fate does. Fate's an asshole, but then we figure out a different solution for removing them from the game board.
Right. Could we put them on a different plane?
They're not violent towards us. They have children with them. I'm not doing that.
Very well. What do you offer? Instead.
What?
I don't like this. I loathe this choice.
Who ordered this?
We put them on a different plane then. Or we move them elsewhere where I don't know what game they're supposed to be removed from. They seem to be here peacefully, not involved in any of the current issues.
Gavin, with all of this going on, you realize that
Whose god's ass do we have to kiss?
the game board, when the captain was setting it back up to his previous game, for what it's worth, you're now recognizing that game has a bit more importance, or at least meaning-wise.
You said that this wouldn't be something that was against a moral code. I won't do that. They are not threatening anybody.
Did they take out an entire civilization? Or what? Are they war criminals?
No more than you and I. Well, you.
We are definitely war criminals. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Well, I know I am.
I'm not a war criminal.
I mean, I just committed an act yesterday.
If we're
I mean,
going by
to
the
be
Geneva
fair.
Convention, technically speaking, fireball is a war crime, but that's
Oh,
neither here nor
yes.
there. If there's a whole TikTok thread about it, I'm not going to get into it right now.
Anyway.
We are missing a piece, a vital piece here, and you're not telling it.
Are you able to transport them to a different realm?
If I had a scroll.
I don't think we are now.
Not yet.
But that may be within our capabilities soon.
Yes, let me rephrase. Until this is resolved, we won't be leaving here.
Oh.
And while I understand your reticence, I know you are also.
This is not reticence. Did you or did you not assure us yesterday that we would not be required to do something that went against our moral code? It is a simple yes or no question. By forcing us into the position where we have to do this, I can tell you without question this is against my moral code. Therefore, you are breaking your own word to us. Give us a different task.
I'll speak to the manager. He looks over at the conquest board.
And I did not promise the task wouldn't have its trials. I mean, it is a trial after all. I just said that you would be protected while on board my vessel, and you have not yet been harmed while you are aboard my vessel, or aboard yours currently. I don't like this choice any more than you do.
It is not what we agreed on. Those are not the terms under which I agreed to this.
You see the captain's like, you're free to go.
I walk back to Zaya.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's the stone giant? He says he's asking the cat. What's the stone giant's name? The leader.
Volstagg.
Volstagg.
Yeah, I can't speak giant.
Kind of go over to the side of the ship. In giant. Volstagg. We don't want to do what he wants us to do, and we are inclined to walk away. I have a question, though.
Very well.
You came here seeking peace, a place to raise your children. Have you found that here?
So far, yes.
For what it's worth, my name is Gavin, and my companions are the children of Calamity. And we will not fight you. If it were up to us, you would live out the rest of your days in absolute peace. But it's not, and he turns towards the captain. That conquer board, whatever, the dragon chess board, that has more significance than just being a conquest board or conquer board.
The captain just nods.
Who are you playing?
Yeah. Who's the god that sits on the seat? We deserve the name.
You may not know.
Much as you've been drawn into destiny's webs, oh, you children of calamity, I have also been drawn in to this game. Drawn in, and my punishment is to, or calling, depending on how you look at it, is to play the game. The game is representative of something much bigger than all of us. And unfortunately, fate is forcing my hand. Not that I wish it to.
I understand that.
I know it may, the words may be meaningless, but I also do not wish Volstagg harm.
I have an
However,
important follow-up question. Are you the player, or are you a piece on the board?
sometimes I feel I'm both. Sometimes neither.
What happens?
Peace?
What happens if you die?
Well, then ultimately someone will become captain of the vessel, I imagine.
I analyzed your board yesterday. A sacrifice is being set up, as you noted. What happens if we flip the board?
I don't think it's going to be that easy. I mean,
Captain,
the board is more metaphorical than anything, but
yeah, I get that. Here's the thing, Captain. Ever since I and the rest of us literally crash landed in Zendrick when we were supposed to be heading to Kabara, nothing has been that easy. Nothing. I'd sooner kill you than them. So I am asking you,
I mean, that's also a choice.
I am asking you as a fellow bitch of fate. Help me flip the board.
If we do, I can't guarantee what happens.
You couldn't guarantee.
take
Just hit
that.
the Giants.
I'll take that over fucking genocide.
I would rather be at the whim of chaos than somebody's fucking pawn.
Also, have you gotten a second opinion on that board? Like, your gameplay was pretty sloppy.
Ember, now's really not the time.
I just stick my tongue out at you.
I stick my tongue right back.
You see, the bean looks at you, Ember, and goes, "Do you wish to become captain?"
Oh, shit. Oh, don't. Oh.
You want to flip the board, or you want to stop what fate is desiring to happen? Does that
Okay.
mean you are taking the responsibility
Bonus.
for what happens?
Bonus action. Ember casts. Uses my bardic inspiration.
Okay.
And I cast universal speech.
Okay.
Which allows me to choose any creature within 60 feet of me. They can understand me, I can understand their language, and also I have advantage on charisma checks to make influences on them. And I choose the Giants.
Okay. We'll say for sure the giant that is the closest to you, the one that's been Volstagg, I'll say is definitely within range. Admittedly, other ones are probably a little bit deeper back just because they're more taken.
All I care about is Volstagg, truthfully.
That's fair.
Volstagg.
This is the captain.
Yep.
If you take on that responsibility, it means a few things, though. It would mean taking you off the board. And all that means from a metaphysical standpoint.
Fair. Current question to you, Captain. Is Volstagg still currently on the board?
Well, Volstagg had succeeded in their trial, so yes.
Are you offering captainship only to me?
I guess, what are your intentions?
I'm asking.
Are you offering it to another?
Would anybody here not be allowed to be a captain? Because, I don't always make the best choices in life.
I suppose that would be why you are the Chaos Spark.
That's right. And I know that I can't always make the best decisions. So, I just want to make sure that the best person possible steps into that particular role. So I'm just asking, can anybody be captain?
What if we flip the table and still satisfy the
I,
terms of this agreement?
yeah, I'm, well,
No,
kind of, yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
see where you're going
Yeah,
with
yeah,
this.
yeah.
I imagine a trial of some kind would still have to take place.
Well, I'm sure there would be some sort of trial that would happen eventually at some point, but that wouldn't be your problem.
It might.
I mean, you wouldn't be the captain.
I guess it comes
So-
down to, do you want to continue being Fate's bitch?
Right. This is. I'm flipping it back to you.
Well then, which one of you wishes to take on the mantle and become captain?
I turn to Voltaire.
Volstead, but it's fine.
Volstead. Voltaire, my love.
He pulls out a giant
Whatever.
violin and just starts going to town.
Would you like to take control and be captain? Forget.
Here's the thing, and this is towards Volstead. We can walk away. But if fate has decided you are to be taken off the board, we won't be the last ones to appear here.
Or you could be captain and just be taken off the board.
Go ahead and make a persuasion roll. I'll say, go ahead and roll with advantage because of Gavin and all the other factors.
Okay. Sweating. Persuasion. Oh shit, no. I would like another roll, please. Okay, with advantage, grand total 30. I rolled an 18.
Yeah, you did.
And persuasion.
And you see Volstagg looks over at the cat and is like, if I do this, am I allowed to bring my family along?
I mean, you would be the captain. You'd make the rules.
I mean, a ship does need a crew after all.
Right. So.
And you see the captain just kind of gestures towards Ember.
And honestly, the sea is a great life to grow up in. He kind of gestures to the kids.
Exactly. I mean, the kids, the fresh air, they'll get to see new places, they'll learn their geography.
We're overselling. Pull it back.
You see the captain looks over at the rest of you and goes, that means a trial will still have to happen before you're able to travel.
I told you to get us a different one.
And that means you'll most likely then be facing me. If you're taking them off the board, I will have to take their place.
Do we have to kill you?
I mean, I would prefer you not to.
Then your terms are acceptable.
Now note, it is equal fight in this matter. Which means only one of you would be allowed to face me.
Hey, Maya.
I'm fine with that.
And he gestures to Amaya the same way Ultraloth was gesturing to us.
And you see, it's like, Bolstag, please approach the vessel.
Rhiannon is like at the plank to get to Zaya, like on Zaya, but like just like hovering there, like, do I have to kick ass just in case he's
And you see, takes the trident and kind of cuts their hand, and then sort of gestures towards the giant's hand, and the giant drops the human-sized stone of rubble that they were gonna chuck at some point, and then and proceeds to kind of slit their hand, and you hear some you hear, you don't quite know if it's necessarily coming from the captain or if it's coming from Bolstag or if it's coming from another source entirely, but you hear this sort of susurrus of whispers, and there is a bit of a breeze, and you even hear a kind of a rumble of a peal of distant thunder, kind of grumbling off a ways, as you definitely feel this breeze sort of kind of blow past, as sort of the recognition of what ever seems to have taken place. When it is done, you see that actually that the ship has somehow seemed to grow.
Our ship or the
Their
Crimson?
ship.
The Crimson ship.
Oh.
Now it is indeed much larger than Zaya. In fact,
It can
one
hold
could
giants.
argue several Zayas could probably fit inside of the vessel.
It is, in fact, 3 times larger than it was before.
Yup.
And then you see the captain just kind of nods. Or the former captain, as it were. And you see Volstagg just kind of gesture towards the family, and they come aboard. And you see, actually, because now it's kind of grown in size with everything else, you see that the piece on the board has indeed changed. But you see, and granted, now the Conqueror game looks like the pieces are human-sized, like, which is why you can see the change in appearance of the piece that is being challenged or threatened, as it were. And you see the former captain says something telepathically to the giant, and you see the Volstagg nods. And then you see the captain kind of go down the gangplank and head onto the shore, and then you see the Volstagg look at you. He goes, "Who are you choosing as champion?"
I just kind of steps forward.
Yeah, we all kind of look at Amaya.
Just as a note, once the whole switchover started happening, Rhiannon would have come back on the ship just
Okay.
to be with the rest of the people.
And admittedly, it takes you a little bit longer because you're like, I'm going to head back to the ship.
Uh-huh.
Why is it taking me longer to get to the gangplank?
Right, because it's huge.
And then it's like, why am I starting to be in the shadow of like,
What?
when did this become a super tanker? Like, it's, like
Yeah, it went from a sailboat to fucking the William Irving and Duluth.
Yeah, that's an instant turnaround and going, oh, things went south.
Kind of glance up. I glance up at the new captain real quick. May I have a word with the champion before? I'm not going to do anything to help. I just want to have a quick word.
Very well.
I walk over to Amaya.
Are we allowed to do anything to help? Oh, I should have asked for forgiveness rather than permission. That was stupid.
Yeah.
You
That
get a
was-
sense that it's not that kind of.
Yeah. Not that kind of fight. So I walk up to Amaya.
You are able to use what you bring with you, so to speak.
I know you know what you're doing, and I'm not going to try to impinge on that. I would take it as a great personal favor if you didn't kill the guy, because I kind of like him.
I will certainly do what I can to pull my punches.
I appreciate that.
Don't,
like,
the
not
record-
right away, though.
For the
don't pull your
record,
punches.
he's pretty calm, cool, and collected, but he's definitely overconfident because of the wisdom of years. So take that into account.
Yeah, this is God level.
He's also
He's not the
probably-
only one who has had opportunity to attain great wisdom.
No, I
True.
got no. I got all the
I-
confidence in
He
the
For the
does
record,
the-
I
he
have
does
no
the-
qualms about you killing him.
He does the
This is
platonic
Amaya with a
equivalent.
20 wisdom and a Corey spirit in her head.
Gavin does the platonic equivalent of a go team butt slap. That is definitely not a go team butt slap because he does not have that kind of relationship with Amaya.
I imagine there's kind of like a little bit of a wind up
That
and then
is
like a
awkward.
pause, and then the arm just kind of like shifts up to the shoulder and tap, tap.
Probably, yeah. That tracks.
So we may need to take a slight break. Oh, okay. Actually, here's my question to you, because this also would be a good cliffhanger.
I like we're close enough to 5 at this point in our time that I think we
That's
should probably
True.
just call it
Yeah.
here.
That's why I'm thinking we may want to, because admittedly, I looked at the stats for the Giants. I didn't really look at the stats for the Ultramont. I'm a little less
Sorry.
prepared.
So
We're not sorry.
You're
That was
so
horrible,
not.
Brian. Not sorry for turning that on
I-
its head.
I
No.
fucking love
Oh.
it, and I fucking love that you gave us the opportunity to flip the goddamn table. I'm here for it.
Yes.
I kept.
So I think then what we will do is we will leave it there as Amaya and the former captain face off at each other.
No, that's a good cliffhanger.
And that'll give me a little time to prepare. Yeah, so thank you all again for joining us and the wonderful chaotic excitement. I love that we had some wonderful moral dilemmas, and I love that you threw my idea on its ear. I am both happy and angry as a game master.
As is right and proper for a game master. at the end of the day.
Yes.
You know, yes. But we thank you again for joining us. We will be back in 2 weeks, should be, as far as when this airs, which will be a little bit later than when we recorded it. But thank you all again for joining us. Is there anything else we want to throw in there before we do our thing?
Go follow Kit's stream, Seven Tail Fox, TALE Fox. They tell stories. Go follow our friend Epic Realms, Epic_Realms. Also tells stories, but in a very different capacity. Other than that, I think we're good.
All right.
Thank you
We'll
all
see
for
the
watching.
epic-
We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Bye.
We'll see the epic showdown. Bye.
Bye.